Hey everybody, welcome to the D. Louise book series. I'm Christina Koristina. I'm wishing for a Christmas miracle. It doesn't look like it's gonna happen. If y'all could like and subscribe to the videos, that'd be awesome. I was hoping for a Christmas miracle, but we're getting down to the last few days and it doesn't look like it's going to happen. To all those who have subscribed, thank you very much, most appreciative. To make 1,000 subscribers by Christmas, I would need over 900 more. So if you have some media accounts or Facebook pages and you want to spread the wealth, please do so, much appreciative. Now, as I mentioned before, we're doing 30 Days of Janet, my comfort books to give me something else light to think about during these times when I have no family to go to. And I've talked about that in all the other videos. So we are doing Explosive 18. And believe it or not, there's no explosions in this book. She doesn't blow up any cars. Go figure that one. Okay, so we've got a little bit of an issue going on here. Just a second here. So, if you were watching the Sizzling Smoking 17, she ended on a little bit of a cliffhanger, and it was who she was going to take to Hawaii. She had these leftover vouchers that she was going to use to go to Hawaii on a vacation, and it was left up in the air as to whom she would take. Well, I don't know if you've been a fan for quite some time, you will know it was probably during this book, after this book, that stuff started, yes, the fans started to get, it became obvious, even though, stuff happens in this book, you would think that a decision would be made. It's not. And it probably never will, because it would probably ruin the dynamic of the book unless she finds a miracle way for it to occur. I don't see a choice ever being made. There's just, she set it up so that there is no choice. But like I said, we would have thought we had a resolution, but we did not. So, oh, and I'll show you the little extra at the end. So she comes home on a plane alone, has a laundry basket full of stuff. So she goes to her parents' house for breakfast. Grandma noticed she has a tan and has a tan ring line. And before she has a chance to do anything, Connie calls. There's an emergency. And while she was trying to retrieve her phone, she emptied her entire purse out. And she discovers there was an envelope in her purse that she had never seen before. So she threw it away. So then Connie calls and says that she needs to get to the bonds office, van, RV, whatever you want to call it, massively quickly. So she gets over there quickly, and apparently Vinny was arrested. He got into a fight. And you know that I can't do these books without sharing them with you. I just have to share my enjoyment with you. I love these books. I like these books so much that I must insert them. He had a dispute with D'Angelo and took a tire iron to his Mercedes. D'Angelo fired off a couple of rounds of Vinny's caddy. Vinny tasered D'Angelo, and that's when the police showed up and dragged them both off to jail. Salvatore D'Angelo was the contractor Harry had hired to rebuild the Bonds office after it burned to the ground. D'Angelo was better known as the contractor from hell since he did everything his way, did nothing without a bribe, and worked on D'Angelo time, which had no relationship to actual work week. Well, at least it's nothing serious, I said. Yeah, but it could be if D'Angelo gets bonded out before Vinny and comes back and sets fire to Vinny's bus. So they go do that. So then D'Angelo shows up before Vinny gets there and goes in the bus to wait for Vinny, and Stephanie and Connie stay outside. So then she's going through the skips that had piled up during her brief sojourn, not a vacation in Hawaii. And, I'm going to make that clock part of my vid. She's ever going off. Bing, 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 bing. She discovers, to her absolute delight, if you want to call it that Joyce Barnhart was arrested for possibly stealing a necklace, and Vinny bonded her out, and she has skipped town. So Stephanie, if you don't know the story, Stephanie was briefly married to Dickie Orr, and when she came home one day, she found her husband on the dining room table with Joyce Barnhart. So, and Joyce gets around, and Joyce is still single, by the way. So there's a tension there. And then whenever Joyce gets near Morelli, Stephanie gets her hair up. And then whenever Terry Gilman is mentioned, Stephanie gets her hair up. Now, I would like to mention here, and it might be a double-edged sword, but I don't think, I really haven't seen it. Joe may fraternize with Terry and Joyce, but I don't think he actually does the bedroom activity, but I could be wrong. Whereas Stephanie, on the other hand, does do the bedroom activity. So, Lula arrives at the bond office. She tells her about Joyce Barnhart. Connie returns with Vinny and tells him D'Angelo is already in the bus. So both Connie and Lula notice the ring tan line. And holy cow, Lula said, staring at my left hand. You got a white ring on your finger where you didn't get a tan. I didn't notice that last night on the way home from the airport. What the heck did you do in Hawaii? And where's the ring now? I made an effort not to grimace. It's complicated. Yeah, Lula said. That's what you said last night. You just kept saying it was complicated. Connie examined my left hand. Did you get married while you were in Hawaii? Not exactly. How could you not exactly get married? Lula wanted to know. Either you get married or you don't get married. I flapped my arms around and squinched my eyes shut. I don't want to talk about it, okay? It's complicated. Excuse me, Lula said. I was just saying, you don't want to talk about it, fine. Don't talk about it. Just 'cause we're best friends don't mean nothing. We're sisters, but hey, don't bother me if you don't want to tell me nothing. Good, I said, because I don't want to talk about it. Huh? So they go after Skip. It doesn't work out. They go to Cluck in the Bucket. They go home. She goes to her parents' house to get laundry. She gets back to her apartment, and there are two men, Lance Lasser and Sly Slasher. They want the envelope with the picture in it. She tells them she doesn't have it. They don't believe her. She calls Morelli to check the names. She calls her parents' house, asks them to check the trash. Her mother says the trash has already been disposed of, and on to the thing. So the picture is completely gone, you think. So two more guys show up, Bill Berger and Chuck Gorley. Morley calls back, these guys are legitimate FBI, and she tells him she doesn't have the photo, and nobody believes her that she doesn't have the photo. Then she goes after another skip. Things go bad. She calls Ranger. Then she calls Lula to pick her up. They decide to go after Joyce Barnhart. They go into a house. It's empty. They try another skip. They lose him. The skip takes her purse and her car. Ranger gets them back for her. Then she goes to her parents for dinner. Annie Hart is Grandma's guest. And Annie Hart likes to make potions and stuff. So that will come into play later on in the book. But it gets a little complicated. How wonderful to see you again, dear, Annie said to me. I think of you from time to time, wondering if you've resolved your romantic dilemma. Yep, I said, it's all resolved. She got married in Hawaii, Grandma told Annie. My father shot straight out of his chair. What? She had a ring and everything, Grandma said. My father was wild-eyed. Is that true? Why didn't someone tell me? No one ever tells me anything around here. Look, I said, holding my hand in the air. I'm not wearing a ring. I'd be wearing a ring if I was married, right? You got a ring mark, Grandma said. Of course, I guess there could be other explanations. You could have vitiligo, like Michael Jackson. Remember when he turned white? My mother put 2 platters in the dining room table. I have antipasta, she said, and I have a bottle of red open. My father went to the Ted, shaking his head. Vitiligo, he said. What's next? Annie's been helping Lorraine Farnsworth with her love life, Grandma said, forking into a slice of hard cheese and prosciutto. My mother looked over at Annie. Lorraine is 91 years old. Yes, Annie said, it's time for her to make a decision. She's been seeing Arnie Milhauser for 53 years. It might be time for her to move on. So then things get carried away here. Where is... no. Okay. So then the FBI show up. They want the photograph. She doesn't have it. She goes back to dinner. Grandma mentions Joyce Barnhart. Goes home and on the TV news sees the picture of the guy on the plane. His name was Richard Clark, and he was murdered. He's the guy that was sitting next to her on the plane, and he's the guy that put the envelope in her purse, but in her travel bag by mistake. So then she's with Morelli, and I woke disoriented. The room was dark. An alarm was going off. I was next to a warm body, Morelli. He reached across me and shut the alarm off. The alarm had been coming from his cell phone. What the heck, I said. What time is it? It's 5 o'clock. Gotta go. Early briefing. I need to go to home and feed Bob before I leave for work. When did you get here? Around midnight. You were asleep. So you just crawled under the covers? I thought we were having issues. He slipped out of bed. I was tired. This was easy. Easy? I was up on my elbow. Excuse me, easy? Yeah, I didn't have to talk to you. He kicked around in the dark, picking up clothes off the floor. These boxes are mine, right? Who else would they belong to? Could be anyone's, Morelli said. I rolled my eyes, switched the bedside light on. Does this help? He tugged his jeans on. Thanks. Now that the room was partially lit, I could see the Band-Aid across Morelli's nose and his black eye. The fight in Hawaii had been violent but short. Terrifying to witness and infuriating to remember, Ranger had needed 7 stitches to close the cut under his eye, and he'd cracked a bone in his hand, rearranging Morelli's face. How's your nose? I asked Morelli. Better, the swelling's down. That fight was terrible. I've been in worse. I knew this to be true. Morelli'd had some wild years. I sat up and hugged the quilt to my chest. I was afraid you were going to kill each other. I was trying, Morelli said in my chair, pulling socks. Remember, you're talking to Berger this morning, and don't mess with him. So, in Hawaii, something happened. And in Hawaii, both Morelli and Ranger were there. So you're still not told yet what exactly happened. So then she goes to she goes down to the Bond's office or Bond's bus, and it's on fire. Then she goes to talk to Berger, the FBI people, and when she leaves the building, Ranger is outside. We got our few minutes with Joe. Now we get our few minutes with Ranger. Let's see. Let's see. You're driving without a license and probably no money or credit cards, Ranger said. It seemed like the lesser of two evils. There was a hint of a twitch at the corner of his mouth, as if he might be thinking about smiling. Are you saying I'm evil? Ranger was playing with me. Hard to tell if that was a good thing or bad thing. I'm saying I don't know where I'm going with you, I told him. Would you like me to make suggestions? No, you made enough suggestions in Hawaii. You made some of your own, he said. His gaze dropped to my hand. You're still wearing my mark on your ring finger. Not as legal as a wedding band, but it would qualify you for a good time. That ring mark got you 7 stitches and a broken bone in your hand. At least Morelli fights clean. What's that supposed to mean? Babe, you stunned gunned me on the back of my neck. Yeah, and it wasn't easy with the two of you rolling around on the ground wailing away at each other. Actually, I'd stunned both of them, cuffed them while they were immobilized, and drove them to the emergency room. Then I changed out my plane ticket for an earlier flight and called Lula and took off before they were finished getting stitched and patched. Not only did I want to put distance between us, but I thought it was smart to leave the island before getting charged with illegal use of a stun gun. Sometimes there's a fine line between a cowardly act and a brilliant decision, and my brilliant decision had been to get out of Honolulu and leave the stun gun behind. Ranger transferred the messenger bag from his shoulder to mine, pulled me into him, and kissed me like he meant it. Let me know if the guys following you in the Lincoln get too bothersome, he said, opening the door to my car. No point asking how Ranger knew about the Lincoln. Ranger pretty much knows everything. Then Stephanie and Lula go to the junkyard. Apparently, one of the junk guys discovered Joyce's shoe, her lipstick, and her driver's license in the junkyard. So they want to go see if her car's been crushed. It has been crushed. So if she was in the car, she's obviously deceased now. So they're trying to figure that one out. Then she calls Morelli and says, hey, look, the driver's license and the lipstick and the shoe were found and the car's been crushed. You might want to get a cadaver dog at the junkyard. Then they go after a Skip again, and why did I write this? Oh, they go after the Skip, and he's like, boy, am I glad to see you. I need to go to the store to get Band-Aids. And she's like, well, I'll take you. And he's like, no. And one thing goes to another, and he takes her keys and her car and goes to the mall. And then they get to the mall, and they can't find him. Big Dopey took my car again. Silence for a beat. Maybe it'd be better if I gave him a car of his own, Ranger said finally. Does he have your bag? No. I'll send Hal out to get your car, but what about you? Is Lula rescuing you again? No. Another moment of silence. Am I? Would you like to? And it happens 3 times. It gets kind of old. So then she asks Ranger to help her break into Joyce's house to try and find out what's going on with Joyce. And the alarm goes off, and so they hide in a closet until the police leave, and they get a little friendly. That's one of the things that I remember the most. I don't know why, but the closet scene always sticks out in my brain, and I didn't realize it was this late in the series. I really thought it was earlier. So then they go through it with Buggy again, the FTA, and then she runs into Grandma, and you should make a decision, Annie said. I'm sure in your heart you know your true love. Just go with your heart. It wasn't that easy. My heart was confused. My brain didn't want either of the men in my life, and my hoo-ha wanted both of them. I could make a potion for you that would simplify everything, Annie said. Thanks, I said, but I'd rather not get involved with potions. They're perfectly safe, Annie said. We're very high-tech in our potion making now. I'm even a member of the APMA, American Potion Makers Association. Maybe I should take up making potions, Grandma said. I've been thinking about coming out of retirement. Potions might be a good business to get into. How do you join that APMA? You can go online, Annie said. Just go to their website. Is it just love potions, Grandma wanted to know, or can you make all kinds of potions? I specialize in love potions, Annie said, but potions can solve a wide range of issues. I'll have to think about it, Grandma said. I want to have a specialty. And that potion becomes an issue. Um, she goes to her parents' house, she has dinner, she gets Big Blue, and I would like to point out that nothing ever happens to Big Blue. He's always safe. There will never be a explosion or anything when Big Blue is around. So she goes home, and there's a man in her kitchen. She knocks him out, drags him in the hallway, and calls Burger. And when she looks at the door, the guy's gone. Morelli's visits, and he's gone by morning. She calls him about the junkyard thing. They found the body of Frank Corder. He was the jeweler that Joyce supposedly stole the jewelry from. She goes to the FBI building to work with a sketch artist. The first picture they draw is Tom Cruise. The second picture they draw is Austin Kutcher. So obviously she didn't get a good look at the guy, and she's just in her head. So when she comes out of the FBI, Lancer and Slasher are standing by the Buick. She tells them about the guy in her apartment. They say he's razzle dazzle. She stuns them and leaves. She goes to the office, and so they run their IDs of the guys because Stephanie had lifted their wallets, and then they come back and she gives them the wallets back. They wanted to do a background check on the guys. Annie gives her the love potion, and they demand to know what happened in Hawaii. Her mother wants to know. So my mom, oh, wait a minute. Oh, for goodness sakes, I said, why is everyone making such a big deal about the stupid tan line? It's just a tan line. Yeah, Lula said, but you've been real secret about it, and all this talk about true love and indigestion has me putting it together, and I finally figured it out. You're preggers. My mother clapped a hand over her mouth, made a strangled sound, and went face down in the olive loaf. For a brief moment, I thought she'd had a heart attack, and I was responsible. She just fainted, Grandma said. She used to faint all the time when she was a little girl, a real drama queen. We stretched my mom out on the floor, and Grandma got a wet towel. My mom finally opened her eyes and looked up at me. Who, what? I'm not pregnant, I said. Are you sure? I had to think about it for a moment. Pretty sure. I'd be sure in a week. We sat my mom back in the chair. I got the whiskey from the cupboard, and we all clugged some. I can't take it anymore, Lula said. I want to know about the ring. I want to know who you married. What the heck happened in Hawaii anyhow? Yeah, Grandma said. I want to know too. Ditto, my mom said, taking another hit from the whiskey bottle. I'd been avoiding this. There were parts to my vacation that were spectacular, but there were also parts I just as soon forget, like the ending. Not only didn't I want to talk about it, I had no idea what to say. It was all too awkward. Unfortunately, I owed Lula and my family an explanation. I just wouldn't tell them all of it. It was nothing, it was business. I'll tell you what happened, but you have to swear not to repeat it. Everyone made the sign of the cross, drew zippers across their mouths, and threw away the key. I offered the second free plane ticket to Morelli, I said, but he couldn't get away from work. He never gets away from work. So I went by myself. I got on the plane in Honolulu, and I was walking through the terminal. I spotted Tootie Raguzzi. Get the heck out, Lula said. The Rug's wife? Yeah, those two disappeared off the face of the earth, Grandma said. We all thought they got planted. Simon Raguzzi, better known as the Rug, is a local celebrity hitman. He's part of the Colucci crime family, and he's also known to do freelance. 3 years ago, he executed 7 members of a Hispanic gang that was trying to muscle in on Colucci territory. 2 other gang members witnessed the massacre but escaped and fingered the Rug. He was arrested and charged and somehow managed to get released on a ridiculously high bail bond. That was the last anyone ever saw the Rug or Tootsie. Vinny had written the bond, and Ranger and I had been looking for the Rug ever since. Was the Rug with her? Not in the terminal. She was alone. I followed her outside and watched her get on a shuttle to a resort. I picked up my rental car and drove to the address on the side of the shuttle. It was one of those really expensive beachfront view Diamond Head resorts that catered to a special events package. I tried to get in, but it was married couples only retreat month. High security, exclusive, strictly enforced privacy. They weren't even letting bounty hunters in, Lula asked. My name wasn't on the guest list. End of story. How about if you were married? Yes, I had to be married. I'm getting the picture, Lula said. It's more complicated than that. I told her even if I captured the Rug, I didn't have the authority to return him to Jersey. Vinny and Ranger handle the high-stakes bonds and extradition. So you called Ranger, Lula said. Yes. He caught the next flight, and we checked into the resort as Mr. and Mrs. Manuso. Lula fanned herself with a napkin. Lordy, lordy. My mother had her hands over her ears. I'm not listening. I'm listening, Grandma said. This is getting good. Grandma had no idea how good, and I wasn't going into details, but Ranger arranged for a beachfront cottage with total privacy for enjoying the spa au naturel and the king-size bed for Asprey Spa. So the whole marriage thing was fake to get into the resort. Yup. Did you get the Rug? No, but he was there. They were in a cottage on the other side of the property. Unfortunately, they checked out and disappeared before we were able to make contact. And then Morelli shows up. Um, so, did you by any chance tell Morelli where I was staying in Hawaii? I asked Grandma. Yeah, he called just before you came home. I guess he thought you were in a different hotel. So we told him about the new one. He said he was going to surprise you, and we figured you were spending the last couple of days together. Okay, so the mystery solved. I finished my sandwich, dropped Annie's bottle into my bag, and stood. So, that's how Joe ended up in Hawaii, and that's how the fight. You want to know details about the fight? And to understand the fact that both men were fighting over her, and yet it will never be resolved. They both go home and continue like nothing happened. So they have this fight over this girl. It's a draw. She wins, she leaves, and she still doesn't have to make a choice between either guy. And I think a lot of the fan base was a little upset with that. But on the other hand, people don't want it to change. They want it to stay the same. They like her relationship with both men. And I think Stephanie really likes it too. I think she doesn't want to make a decision because Morelli wants her to quit her job and be domesticated and stay home and have kids. Ranger may not be in the marriage market, but he would be good for everything else. And he's got money and, he's got a way of life, and it may not be safe for a family either. So there's pros and cons to both sides of it. So, then they go after a few more skips, And then Lula takes one of the other people that's looking for the picture is this lady named Brenda Schwartz. And a couple of books ago, we had a song star named Brenda, and I can't get the old lady song star out of my head when referring to this Brenda. This is a completely different Brenda, but the fact that she used the same name close together, and I'm doing a binge read, I couldn't get the song star out of my head, and I kept thinking, but this isn't the song star, this is a completely different person. And she's also looking for the picture. Everybody's looking for the picture. They need the picture. And of course, according to her mother, it was thrown away. So all these people are looking for the picture. So Stephanie decides, the hell with her current car. She goes to the dealer, whatever secondhand place she's going. She trades it in for a truck. Then she talks to Morelli about Razzle Dazzle. Joyce shows up. Brenda shows up. Brenda doesn't believe that Stephanie doesn't have the photo. Morelli leaves. Joyce calls her. She wants her to go to a house and gives the key. Joyce gives her the security code. She goes, gets the key. It's supposed to be to a little safe, a little itty bitty safe that sits on a shelf. Spoiler alert, it's later to, it's a little chest that holds the cat's remains. So, it's not good. So Vinny tries to get D'Angelo back, by pulling a prank on D'Angelo, and it backfires because apparently D'Angelo was not the one to set fire to the Bonds office. They received the information after Vinny has pulled his act, and D'Angelo is all pissed off at Vinny now. So that's an interesting little thing. Then they tried to do some more bonding. She goes back to the FBI again and does the Ashton Kutcher picture. When she goes out to her car in the parking garage, she's attacked by Razzle Dazzle, and she does a number on him and herself. And she wins, and everybody, all these people watching security cameras, and no one saw the attack, and no one came after him. It just, So Ranger gives her a new gun, and a new stun gun, and a GPS watch, so he'll never lose her. So if she's ever in trouble, because he doesn't want stuff that happened to her in the parking garage to happen again. They go to the funeral home. Joyce is there. She's out back hiding. She tells her that she's got the key. Morelli's there. He has seen the video. Her mother has heard about her incident through the grapevine. The town grapevine, deli, bakery, hair salon, and funeral home. All the gossip. And she had gone to the funeral home with her grandmother, and everybody sees her black eyes and her cut lip and her scraped knee and the whole 9 yards. So that's how the gossip got back to the mother. Joyce breaks into her apartment and says she's going to stay there because she's wanted. Later things get worked out, and it takes a couple days for Steffi to convince Joyce to leave. And the situation with Joyce gets worked out, and she at first tells Stephanie that Frank was a Pink Panther and he was involved in jewelry, and the whole thing was just BS. But Joyce didn't know that, and Stephanie checks it out and finds that it was all BS. So you have to read the book to find out what happened really with the picture. Why the picture was important. Because you really don't find out why the picture was important until the end. And what crazy stunts Stephanie and her pals pull at the end. Why the picture was important. Why everybody was coming after her. What happens to everybody. What they get a little good result at the end. But the situation with her and Morelli and Ranger will probably never be resolved. But there is a little bonus thing in this book I thought I would show you. Plum 2012. There you go. There you go. There you go. There we go. Do they? I think they do. And then we have the other side. January, March, and May, and June. And I think Lula's birthday is July 26th. Ranger's birthday is August 12th. Stephanie's birthday is October 12th. She's a Libra. No wonder she gets along with everybody. And Joe Morelli's birthday is March 1st. So there's a whole bunch of information that you did not know before. So please check it out. Don't forget Lorelei King with the audiobooks. Yeah, you gotta love them. They're great. We're getting through the holidays. We're almost to Christmas now. We're gonna move on to 19 and 20 and 21 and 22 and 23, and we're gonna work our way to Dirty 30. 30 days of Janet Evanovich. We're doing all 30 books, and we're gonna unbox Dirty 30 at Christmas, and we're gonna see how it goes. So please hit the like and subscribe. Let me know I'm doing a good job. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you actually watched this video. It took a lot of work. So, oh, and the lights. I hope you like the lights. And my little cardinal. There you go. These are pretty. Every time I do that. So please hit the like and subscribe and let me know I'm doing a good job. Thank you.